Episode 6 starts with Philomena going full rock star at karaoke until Pepito spawns out of nowhere, demanding a duet. She tries to swipe left on the idea, but our guy is too persistent. They end up pulling off a performance with a 90% chemistry rating absolute fire. However, finding him way too annoying, the goddess sends him to the lobby immediately after. Meanwhile, that high-tier god is still lurking, wondering why Philomena wastes so much energy on this clueless soul. Back to Pepito. He asks Philomena why he has to keep going through the reincarnation loop instead of just getting a permanent revive. The goddess explains that while it's technically possible, the other gods aren't fans of the idea. Plus, with a track record of causing a disaster every time he spawns, Pepito has been on the blacklist for a long time. She reminds him that the world needs to end according to the god's script, but he keeps glitching the timeline with his deviant energy. Our guy realizes he needs to up his acting game and create some dramatic cinema to satisfy the high-tier audience. Seeing he finally gets it, Philomena yeets him into the next life. This time, Pepito pulls a ticket to be a bomb designed to ruin happy couples, a role that's basically a custom fit for this professional simp. He gets hyped, planning to be a massive TNT block to level the whole city, making Philomena just shake her head because that vibe checkbox never gives him a decent role. Surprisingly, Pepito spawns back fast. He confesses he tried to be dramatic, but he ended up becoming a banana peel. Philomena is speechless and plugs in the screen to see what he messed up this time. Turns out Pepito was a time-delay banana peel. Whenever a couple walked by holding hands and stepped on him, they'd slip and get an instant burnt incense hairstyle from the explosion. The plot thickens when a girl named Extola spots the chaos. Extola is beautiful, but because her standards for a boyfriend are out of bounds, she's been chronically single. This turned her into a hater, wanting everyone else to be as miserable as she is. Philomena roasts her immediately, saying she knows a certain someone who's also lonely but stays delusional about their worth. Pepito continues, saying Extola was hunting for a man with 3 attributes: lightning, wind, and the ability to play an instrument. Since no one was top tier enough for her, she started studying that cursed banana peel. The moment she tested it and slipped, a weird effect triggered. Everyone's faces were redrawn in the Gekiga style, a dramatic, gritty, 1960s, 70s mature manga aesthetic. Realizing the power of this magical peel, Extola didn't hesitate to use it for her ambitions. In no time, 80% of the kingdom's couples had crow's nest hair from the explosions. Pepito was totally fine through all the blasts because he had maxed out explosion resistance. Extola officially became the anti-romance queen, swearing to finish off the remaining 20% of people who dared to be happy. Her villainous laughter was so contagious that Pepito started laughing like a real antagonist too, giving even Extola the creeps. Still, recognizing him as a miracle weapon, she accepted a ride-or-die alliance with him. Just as Extola's campaign wiped out most of the lovebirds, a hero appeared to stop her. This guy started dropping deep philosophy, saying that taking her anger out on others won't help her find true love. She immediately counterattacked with her banana palm move, but since this hero was also a permanent member of the Lonely Hearts Club, the banana didn't explode. Instead, it just made a nearby vegetable vendor's face look incredibly gritty in the Gekiga style. The hero didn't give up and kept spamming magic, but Pepito wasn't just an explosive peel, he had cracked drifting skills. He made the hero's spells slide off and hit the bystanders, turning them into buff, muscular dudes. With 90% of the population now looking like gritty bodybuilders or hardened criminals, Extola was backed into a corner. However, since the hero was also a veteran bachelor, he deeply felt Extola's pain. He was so moved that he proposed a fair duel. If he won, she had to stop blowing up people's hair. Since they both had artistic souls, the final battle turned into a street concert. Extola went full heavy metal, while the hero went with a cheesy Romeo Santos vibe. The crowd went wild, and the two of them got so lost in the music they forgot the beef. The hero won, but in a twist, they caught feelings and formed a band called Macho Explosion. And Pepito, since he was a banana peel with an expiration date, he just withered and vanished after exploding a few more couples to add flair to the show. Pepito brought back the band's CD as a souvenir. Philomena called the band name mid but took it anyway. Later, Pepito saw the goddess practicing an instrument and begged her to sing, but she coldly told him she wasn't practicing for him. Somewhere else, the high-tier entity was shocked to see Philomena actually pick up an instrument. Suddenly, Pepito got an email from the fish demon king Aspacius. Turns out, after logging out, he time-traveled to the past and reincarnated as a red salmon. And right on cue, a canned salmon ad popped up to ruin the mood. Aspacius flexed that he now has a hermit crab disciple, which made Pepito remember the master salmon who taught him those legendary moves. Philomena dropped the truth bomb that Master was Aspacius all along. Pepito was shook but didn't overthink it. He immediately jumped into reincarnation so he wouldn't fall behind his rival. In this life, he was a descendant of the World Tree, forced to fight for survival against a horde of aggressive beavers. Before the beavers could chew through the divine door, Pepito was gone. Philomena suddenly felt worried, wondering if she went too hard by sending him without any broken skills. But Pepito spawned back in record time. He said in that world, he and his siblings formed a forest to protect their father, the World Tree Hirashiro. War broke out when a beaver army, geared up to the teeth, attacked. Even though other animals helped defend, the beavers were too top tier. Watching his plant siblings get gnawed on like a horror movie, Pepito unleashed a 150 decibel scream louder than a jet engine. This move made both friend and foe collapse in tears. However, the beavers still managed to slip through and surround him. In that life or death moment, Pepito remembered he had the divine leg's skill. He uprooted himself and started screaming while delivering lethal kicks to those annoying beavers. Thanks to that legendary leg work, Pepito's father and siblings survived. But instead of being moved, they begged him to lower his tone and please just shut up. Also, since he was the only tree with legs, the family dumped the entire war-ending responsibility on him. Even though Philomena knew this was just their way of getting rid of him, Pepito didn't care. He picked up his legs and marched straight toward the beavers' hydroelectric dam. When the beavers saw a walking tree aggressively approaching, they went into full panic and ran to tell the big boss. That was Arenu, the Beaver King, who was currently seeing stars because the chaos outside made him lose his game. Pepito and the Beaver King had an intense showdown of world-shattering screams. Since it was a draw, they decided to settle it with an audition dance battle. Thanks to having many roots, many legs, Pepito went full pro and got a perfect score. Accepting defeat, the Beaver King swore never to touch the forest again and even complimented Pepito's fresher-than-fresh legs. Philomena was speechless after learning that the final battle to save the world was actually a dance-off at an arcade. She asked why the beavers were even attacking the world tree, and Pepito simply explained they just needed wood for their dam. With peace restored, he went home, but his family looked at him like he was some kind of freak. Unable to handle the judgment from his relatives, Pepito asked the Beaver King to log him out by turning him into construction timber. A bit of a sad ending for the world's savior, but he didn't mind and brought back a world tree sprout for Philomena. The goddess casually plucked a branch and stuck it on Pepito's head. And so, they continued their days watering plants, living a peaceful life, and waiting for the next glitched reincarnation.